Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terribles over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with and talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
Figure out how I want to answer the second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch. Is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We got Devin Gordon with us
at Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep. What's up? What's up? Monday, October 30th, 2023. I am Jimmy, joined here with Chris and Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to recap Bridgeport, where we were. We got to do a great pre-race show there this past weekend. We're also going to talk about the big All-Star Circuit of Champions sale to the High Limit Series, or a High Limit Group. We also will talk more silly season. There's a lot more rides changing. And we also preview the World Finals and get into a bunch of other stuff, I'm sure. Make sure you put your comments in the chat and your questions and opinions, and we want to hear them. Fellas, how you guys doing tonight?
What's going on? I like the new font that was over there. We got the new font on there, the Halloween font. That was fancy.
Yeah, they that popped in today. We got a little special Halloween font for today, so that's pretty cool. That's a nice little bonus here from shout out to Restream.
Yeah, doing good though. Doing good. Excited to get into this a little bit and see what everybody else is out in the world, thinks about some of these topics. So I'm excited.
Chris, how was your weekend, man?
Not as exciting as you guys, but me and the kid hung out with the Fall Fest at Williamsburg with the bridge. We were not at the racetrack. We were at the steam engine grounds. Had a great time, though. So,
yeah, good deal. It was a beautiful weekend. I mean, you couldn't beat the weather on Saturday. Felt like a late summer day. It was great.
In true bridge track fashion. We rode a train and hay rides. So, I know. The haters will love it, but we had a good time.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, let's get into this past weekend. Bridgeport, their Octoberfest weekend. Friday and Saturday. We went on Saturday, did the pre-race show, like I said. Friday, they had USAC East Coast, of course, the 410 sprint cars, and they had news sprint cars as well on Friday night. And then Saturday was 410 sprint cars, USAC East Coast, as well as their modified division. Great show all weekend. I was glued on Friday night. It was a pretty cool deal. They do a little bit of a different format. I know some people were kind of on social media were a little up and down about the format, but I think it's something different, especially this late in the season. I think it was a cool little deal. I don't know what you guys thought of the format.
Stunning that social media did not like the format of an event at a racetrack. Truly stunned.
I mean, listen, I had no say in it, but I think Friday was I think it was better than last year. Last year was more confusing than even this year. But to split it up and have some odd hot lap session determine a couple cars into a dash, I didn't quite get that whole premise to build up excitement to something. That a hot lap session meant so much. Now those guys still had the opportunity to race Saturday to improve their position in the dash, but it was 6 cars or something in the dash or 8 cars. So I don't know. I just didn't quite understand it. I mean, make Friday a practice night and be a practice night. It shouldn't mean a whole lot for Saturday. I get the idea, but I don't know if I like the execution.
I think the idea was because they have that non-winners race, which I think is a cool deal, something different. And then so the guys who did win something, then what was the point of them showing up? And I think that's why they do that, which I understand, but I get it.
I mean, I get it too. They run a race then.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
They did not want to pay out.
I think it was fine. I think it was. What's that?
Was there no money on the line Friday night for anything?
I can't remember. I don't know if they won something for quick time or
dash spots. Well, maybe that non-winners race. But was that just a money grab then to get fans in the seats to not pay out anything to the drivers?
I
don't know. I
don't know.
Someone can chime in. I'm not disparaging the track until I have the facts, but I don't understand it.
The banana running around the infield.
I do want to point out there's a little bit of an echo from Jeremy. I just don't know where it's coming from.
I kind of hear it too. Hello?
Hello?
I don't hear it now.
Hi.
Maybe I do. It's one of
News paid $1,000.
What's news?
That was the other wingless sprint car division on Friday night.
Okay.
They have great engines.
The Fast 3 guys ran a heat on Saturday because those dash spots they earned Friday were the last 3 spots of the dash. They can run their heats to improve their dash starting spot.
I have a question. So what does being in the dash do for you?
Well,
gets you in the top 6 of the Saturday feature.
They were locked into it no matter how Saturday went.
Right.
They were locked into the dash. They didn't have to run a heat if they didn't want to, but they all ran their heats to try and improve their dash starting spot. It wasn't a draw.
Right. I was kind of confused because there was someone that said they had.
Oh, sure, it wasn't a draw?
There was a motor change.
Because Peck started on the pole.
There was a motor change. Somebody did a motor change. Got the tail, the dash on Saturday, and then it started 22nd. Kyle Spence did.
Yeah, he didn't start he wasn't in the dash, dude.
He wasn't in the dash.
I was just reading whatever they posted. They got the tail, the end of the dash. I didn't know what that meant.
They didn't have a B, and he was having engine issues, so they let him go out. He was a half lap back and just ran a green flag lap and parked it. He didn't run for because they ended up not having a B. They allowed him to go out and run a lap under green to make sure his engine issues were fixed.
I'm just gonna blame Aunt Bay then for the weird wording on his social media post.
Chris, you're too far from your camera. You keep blurring out because it wants to focus on your pants leg. Figure it out, bud. Yeah,
figure it out.
I'm happy as hell over here, so I don't care what you say.
Billy Dietrich in the chat saying, "Hey, where's your Halloween costume? Why even try after you came on here as Macho Man? You know what I mean? Like how
you
can't beat that.
We're all ugly as hell anyway. We don't need any help.
Yeah, this is enough. This is plenty.
It's true. We're scary enough looking. Do want to give shout out before we get into the rest of the Bridgeport stuff here to Alex Robinson, who's in chat here. He helped us make all this happen on Saturday. We had a great time. We learned a lot about what we want to eventually do with some of this pre-race stuff, and doing more stuff at the track. And Alex was a huge help, so I do want to thank him, Doug Rose, and the entire staff at Bridgeport. They were all very welcoming and helpful, and very hospitable. So. Yeah.
It's all I have left, Billy. I'm out of beer. I need to make a beer run. I had this left from like a year ago out in my garage, but it's beer, so I figured it was better than no beer. I could have water and that's all.
I'm guessing he's shit talking your beer, but Icy Light's not much a step above that. So, what I said, Billy. Said what I said.
We're gonna have a beer debate here soon.
This isn't a beer podcast.
This is not a beer podcast.
We just consume it. So anyway, so Friday night they had you had 3 Tyler Ross for one. Shout out to him. Left the 75. Went to that's his own 5 car, I believe, right?
Correct.
That's the family car.
Ross Racing.
Won the non winners race, and then went out and locked himself into the dash also by going to get quick time in his group. So he looked really good there all weekend.
Yeah, he's no slouch at Bridgeport, and we talked about that. He's a guy that whenever URC would go over there, or there's speed in that 5 car, and I think even this year, every time it's been out, it's been very competitive. And I think he talked about maybe expanding that deal next year. Got to feel good leaving Bridgeport and with a good run. And I don't know if they're going to run BAPS or not in a couple weeks, but definitely a confidence boost, I'd think, for that 5 car for sure.
Absolutely. Kyle Reinhardt was another one that locked in. And who was the other car? I think it was Macri. Those were the 3 that locked in Friday night into the dash for Saturday. They were the 3 quick timers. So going into Saturday, obviously we did the pre-race show. We did it with Kyle Reinhardt. We interviewed Kyle Reinhardt, Briggs Danner, and Joseph Watson with the modifieds, and all 3 of those guys finished in the top 2, including Kyle Reinhardt with the big $15,000 victory for the 410s. Congratulations to him. He was fired up. It was awesome to see. I was definitely really, really happy for him.
Yeah, I was pumped, and we talked about it during that interview. If you guys didn't see that interview, it's on our page and also Bridgeport's page. It wasn't a surprise to me at all. And I don't think I'm the only one that or pays attention enough, but he's good at Bridgeport, guys. He on a national level good at Bridgeport. And he talked about it and said, like, some maybe nationally outside of Central PA, people don't realize that. But consistently now for a couple years, big facts, Billy. Consistently for a couple years, Kyle Reinhardt's got to watch it, Bridgeport. And he had some really good showings, and so it didn't surprise me at all. He loves racing in the state of New Jersey, he said, which is a weird thing to have anything enjoyable in the state of New Jersey. But, whatever. No, I was pumped for him for sure, and he was fired up in victory lane. That's a great way to end his season as well.
And if you go back to our last video, Jeremy, I asked you the question, and the first name you said was Kyle Reinhardt as a favorite to win Bridgeport. He finished second high limit. So, I guess it's kind of surprising, but also it's not. Like, he's been strong there every time, recent history that they've been there.
Yeah, and the other name that we talked about obviously was Anthony Macri in that conversation, and Justin Peck. And Justin Peck was P2. So it kind of went as expected a little bit, but not a surprise completely to see Reinhardt up there at victory lane. So cool.
Steph saying she's drinking a 4 Loko, so I can't say too much about bad drinks. That's an understatement. And she has Jenny Ice in the fridge. So
Steph,
cheers.
Be safe, buddy. Steph, be safe.
But yeah, so Kyle Reinhardt, I mean, he didn't. So did he start on the pole or did he start second?
He started second on the outside of the front.
He started second in the feature, and he pretty much led from the get-go, though. I mean, he got it pretty early.
He passed Peck on the outside of 1 and 2 there, and Peck had to jump on him and got to turn 1 first, but Reinhardt just drove around the outside of him and really never looked back. And there were some moments in lap traffic there. It was a little sketchy for Reinhardt when you watch the the replay of it, but he was aggressive and seemed to be in control of that thing pretty much the whole way through.
There was the one sequence during the feature, right when Macri ran into Paulie calling Giovanni, and he spun out. It was so intense. Like, it was just because that wreck was happening for 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah.
Because they're all the top guys. It was Reinhardt, then Peck, Macri, Paulie. There's somebody else there. They're all just trying to dice through lap traffic, and the track was so fast. That was my first time there, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I know people, some people are indifferent about it, but that was my first time there. I love it. I'll definitely go back there again. That place is it. If you haven't been there, watching it on Flow, does not do it any justice on how banked that place actually is and how fast it is. It's very fast. I was definitely blown away.
It's different than what we see around here. If you're a Central
Yes.
PA fan and you see what we see, we have some unique tracks. Williams Grove is unique. Port Royal has unique characteristics. Lincoln, has a lot of character for a 3/8 mile track, right? Both ends are very different, but Bridgeport's on a whole nother level of different. And it is unbelievable. After the race was over, we went out and did like a little track walk we tried to do, and nobody kicked us out, thankfully. Lights were going off, it was dark. But you walk up the hill in 1 and 2, and it's like the Bristol of dirt tracks. It is wild. Like having to stand there, like it is way more banked than looking down the hill, coming into the corner and looking off the corner in 1 and 2. Unbelievable. Just a cool deal.
Got a picture here. Shout out Jim Tenorelli. He's our resident Jersey guy. That's his home place, and we got to go out on the track, and you just see, you could kind of see some of the banking there. He was just being Jim, but the curb up there was thick, especially, and that was after the USAC. The USAC feature was great. That went caution free, and just watching Briggs Danner, man, which we'll get to in a minute. Just watching him is a treat. Just want to get to some of the comments here. Billy said, "Guys did a great job with the show on Saturday. Thank you very much."
Appreciate it, Billy. Appreciate you watching, man. Like, we're fans of yours, and we appreciate having at least one fan. So we appreciate it, dude.
And Chris Gray said, it was my first trip there to run some of the 410s, got down that banking. They hauled it down the backstretch. Yeah, that when they come down, like they diamond 1 and 2 and they get that run down turn 2, like they're coming down. Like when you're on the track, it feels like they're coming down like 3 stories. Like it's it's that banked.
Yeah.
What made Bridgeport change track configuration? I'm not. It used to be a 5/8 mile. It was a big track, so I think just the state of how dirt track racing is. I mean, a half mile is big. They don't really run miles anymore. They don't run, unless they're Silver Crown. So I think that was part of it, just to get, not be so harmful on equipment, I guess would be.
And really, it helps car counts. There's teams that would stay away from a track like that just for competition purposes, not just equipment, but competition. If you go in there and there's any grip at all and you get outmotored, why would you go at something like that? And that's sort of the state of big tracks. And we talk about that sometimes at Williams Grove and Port Royal about being hard on motors and things. And if you don't have enough motor, 5/8 mile, can't imagine. And that's why there's not a lot of them around. But this configuration, I feel like in the last decade, I felt like Bridgeport's been redoing something with the surface, the facility, the track, the shape, the design, the size. Every other year, it feels like. And people talk about, old Bridgeport, this Bridgeport. I remember what it is right now because it wasn't much on my radar until the last couple of years. So, excuse me, this is the configuration that I know, and it's cool. And so many different cars race so well there. Modifieds race well. They don't just roll around the bottom. The USAC cars, the sliders that they can pull when they need to and want to, and the momentum changes, and the momentum they can gain up and down the hill there is wild. Pretty cool.
Yeah. It's definitely something so much different than what we're used to here, maybe in Central PA, a lot of the tracks that are around here. I've only known the place from Flow, and then going there in person, like when we were setting up and everything, I did not realize, like I knew it was banked, but I didn't realize it's something you just got to be in person to see. And it was great racing all night. They did a great job with keeping up with the track since it was so hot. It was sunny. They were talking about on the flyer, at least, if it's hot and sunny, they would push it back 2 hours. But I'm glad that they didn't. We got out of there at a good time. And really, when they went out there for hot laps, the sun was kind of most of the track was in the shade. There was sun, but like it wasn't. They kept good moisture in it. They did a great job keeping up the track all night. Watching that huge, they had the big long ass water tank, the water truck that they bring out,
trailer full of water. And he'd go out and water it, and it would try to run the top, and the tractor would be up on the top, and the trailer sliding down the banking behind it a little bit, like sketchy as hell. But I was getting after it up there. It was pretty cool.
Chris Gray says they could use a bit more of a scoreboard, makes William Grove look modern. Yeah, I agree that they've been slowly putting more and more into it. They've been doing a really good job, I think, with that place. That you could tell where they're putting money into, and they're making improvements all along.
And I do agree with that because there was most of the night I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know what lap we were on. I didn't know who was in the middle of a run, for who was first, second, or third. Sometimes I knew in the 410s, but like I got lost at times, and I looked over the scoreboard. Somebody would be blocking the view of the lap count, and I had no idea how many, if it was the lap count or how many were left. I didn't know, so I just
Yeah.
watched the flag stand, and hopefully, I saw them do a signal of how many laps were left at any given race. So, yeah, I don't disagree completely, Chris. Obviously, that takes the money, so hopefully they continue to build and grow upon what they've got started. So, we'll see.
So yeah, Kyle won the 410 feature. Great feature. Dyson through traffic. We saw the Macri deal. He got spun out. He was done. They ended up doing an open red. It was a 35 lap feature, so it was pretty long. But it was a great race overall. There was such a disparity between the fastest cars and the slowest cars that it made lap traffic interesting. For sure. And they were catching it fast, and on an already fast track, you really gotta. But it was wide enough, and with the banking and everything, you had places to go to get around them. So it was fun to watch. Our USAC East Coast guest Briggs Danner was going for the 2023 title, driver's title, and the owner's title. They were different because as we talked to him during our pre-race show, and we talked about this way back when we were all at this race. Well, I think me and Jay-Z were at the race at Williams Grove when he couldn't make it out for the feature because the motor blew, and he jumped into Ed Aiken's car. And he came from the very back and almost won the damn thing. He almost did that on Saturday night in Bridgeport too. Like Alex Bright started on the pole, he was gone. He was getting through traffic really well. Briggs started 9th, I believe, and he worked his way up. And if he had maybe a couple more laps in lap traffic, maybe he would have caught Alex, but it would have been tough. Those two are definitely the cream of the crop of that class of that division. But Briggs looked awesome. Alex looked good. It was good to see him get back into victory lane after his injury earlier this year at Lawrenceburg. And I think this was only like his second race back, or it might have been his first race back.
First or second, yeah.
So it was good for him to get, see him win a race, and then also Briggs get second, and then also lock up that title, both titles, both the owners and the drivers' championship. So that was fun to watch.
Yeah, I thought Briggs was pretty patient in his heat race. He was faster than some of the cars in front of him. He was pretty patient. I don't think he wanted to risk it per se. But in that feature, man, it was like when the green flag dropped, he was on a mission. And, it took him a little bit of time to get going. By the time he got into second, leader was so far out there. He was so far gone, and he ran him down lap by lap by lap, and it was almost visible how fast he was catching. Obviously Alex Wright probably didn't know. This isn't late models where they get to cheat and with these stupid sticks. So, he was lap by lap just running him down, and it was cool to see. He was driving like a madman. It was pretty cool.
Billy Dietrich with the question here: are these races too long? Wasn't long ago every regular show was 25 laps. Special events were 30 laps. What happened? Everybody's got to one up each other, just like. Every race pays $1,000 more the next year. You know what I mean? Just everybody's got to up it somehow.
The money increase is good. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say spot on. Like 25 laps was the standard, and then big event was 30 laps, and you take out your national open, your touch score 50. Otherwise, now everyone seems to want to. Hey, we can run 35 laps. So hey, we can run whatever it is.
But I think this was a special event for Bridgeport, and with that being said, you're running 12-second laps there. I mean, 35 laps.
You need to run 35 laps to make it special.
What's the difference with 5 laps?
You have
Why
fuel
not?
Stop?
Well, they had fuel stop because they had so many caution laps. I think
it's one way or the other. I'm just saying, what does that 5 laps do for Bridgeport on Saturday versus just running 30 laps? Like, you go back to whenever Lincoln used to run the anniversary race, it was like 54 laps. because their 54th anniversary, whatever it was. That made sense, right?
No, it doesn't. That's too many laps.
But at least you could connect why they were doing it. Now we're just
Well,
doing it because we can.
Yeah, because they picked the number. I think this, to me, my opinion on this goes back to we race too much. Right? Like if 25 is the norm, every event is Pepsi night and this memorial and that memorial and this thing. They're all trying to make them all special. And like Lincoln's the normal is 30 now, right? So every special event has to be 35 or 40.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
and remember,
we try to make every event special. But
we
race
talk
too much.
about making every race an event too.
Right.
You know what I mean? Part of the
Right.
promotion side.
But that's
So
part
that-
of it. They're diluting it because they're racing too much now. I used to
Right.
never be on this train.
I'm-
I used to be against the racing too much train.
I
But now
was.
they are. Because
I'm with Jeremy.
every night you have to have sponsors to help pay a purse, and they try to make it an event and make it special. And that sponsor wants to do something special, but guess what? Every race isn't goddamn special. I'm sorry. But if you want to race less, then you're going to have your 5 or 6 or 8 special races a year, and the rest of them are 25 or your standard 30 laps, and this is this night, and this is what you get. But every race now they try to one up, make it special for the end of the season. Well, sorry to tell you, track, that's not fucking promotion.
No, that's
not promotion. That's getting somebody to pay your damn purse. That's not promotion.
right. That's what I was going to say with it. Instead of adding 5 extra laps or to whatever it is, whoever you are, take that money you're gaining there and apply it pre-race, fan involvement, things like that. You'll get just as much gain, in my opinion, instead of making the teams run 5 extra laps for what? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. For you to have a race that's 5 extra laps and you win $1,000 more than normal.
Nobody knows it.
Nobody.
At the end of the day, like
Right.
you know who wins the 50, you know who wins the National Open, 40 laps, 50 laps. You know that. I didn't even know Lincoln, if they run 30 laps, I don't know how many laps they run. Like, hey,
You know how many nights I stood in the middle of a track, and I've been to 50 plus races this year. Not to say whatever, but that's a lot of races. I went, how many laps is this tonight? And I look around, and people were like, I don't know.
Like,
is this a special one or is this not special? What are we doing tonight?
As a Williams Grove homer, you knew every week 25 lap feature, except for Outlaw shows were 30. Mitch Smith was 30, and that mattered. Now,
honestly, Williams Grove probably keeps it the simplest. If I think back at that,
now like random tune-up. Oh, is it 25 or 30? You have to think about it. Like
Port kind of does. Port's pretty consistent on that, but no, I agree. I think it's part of this is just dilution, and they're trying to make every race something special, and they just can't be. There's just not enough effort, money to be thrown around at that. I get why they try to do it. They try to put a name to it to call it a promotion, but that's not how it works.
I think in this case, though, it's Bridgeport. They get 410 races a year.
Bridgeport is all for this. This is their crown jewel. Well, high limit. They dictate the lap rules. Those touring series dictate the laps. This was their big event, end of season.
I think Billy's question was more wider lens.
Yeah, it was. I just wanted to make that distinguish that, though.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like if your whole event rides on you being able to market 3 or 5 extra laps for your race to matter, you failed on every other aspect of making the event in the first place. In my opinion. Like,
no, you're 100% right.
Because if I'm going to a race, I don't care if the feature's 30 or 35 laps. It's a featured event to me, and it matters. I want to know what you did all day long, what you did outside the racetrack, what you did leading up to the event. That's where you're selling the tickets and getting the money, in my opinion. At least it should be. So add 5 laps here, take 5 laps. I don't care. Like, to me, me personally.
Yeah, I think, I don't love fuel stops. I think everyone hates them. I know that some races are going to need them. You're on that edge right away. To have a fuel stop at this race, there wasn't that many yellows and red flags. I didn't think
they ran a ton of yellow laps until they got Anthony Macri off the track. I think that's what it was.
True. I did have time,
and they were using a lot of fuel because they wandered the track before.
And I get that you'll have fuel stops. That's part of it. But
but some of these tracks are putting it up against that limit where they're almost guaranteed a freaking fuel stop.
You need a fuel stop. That's not sprint car racing. Sprint car racing
Oh,
is meant to be as
what
sprint.
race was it this year that they did a fuel stop like by lap 10? Somewhere did a fuel
Lincoln. I think it was at Lincoln. They did one really early because they had a bunch of reds and yellows.
And they knew that like they had a bunch of laps left. I don't remember where it was, but I was like, what, already? Like what? We weren't near the lap count, but they knew that if they did it now, they could make it if it went. They would have ended up with 2 if they had a bunch more yellows or red or yellows. They could have had 2 fuel stops.
But I'm saying is, I would rather a track make that decision of, hey, we've had a cluster here. Let's take this opportunity to do this thing we know we have to do anyway, and then hope for the best. I don't know, because the Outlaws just did that. Wherever it was with the whole controversy with Brad Sweet on the hook, and the same thing. They had an really early open red, but it was a good
Yeah.
opportunity for them to do it. It's like I would rather you do that, keep the flow of the show going, than we're gonna go green for 5 more laps and oh wait, caution, we gotta refuel. Like
Yeah, Billy, that Babs open red deal was frustrating for sure after the way that whole race went to have an open red. And then honestly, there was an open red later in the street stock. So,
right,
you
and,
know,
and
That's
the
still
thing,
unreal to me.
but that's the thing, that's the thing,
any
to that
idea
Babs
how many
thing,
laps they ran under yellow?
that Babs
Like,
thing is like spot on. Like they probably could have called that earlier, and it would have been like no one would have batted an eye. But like just the way it went, they pushed the limit and they had that caution with 3 to go, and you have an open red. It kind of like what the hell? After everything else that's happened, it's like damn it, that's
Yeah.
what we have to have open red. It's like that's just bad luck. But I guess I get the vibe that they were going for, like just race it out.
yeah. Anyway, no, I agree, Billy. The local track's getting back to basics. I think there's going to have to be. We're getting close to this tipping point around here. In my opinion, maybe nothing changes and it continues on this trend, but I feel like we're at this tipping point of something's got to give in Central PA with the volume of races.
Yes.
And I appreciate that the money has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger around here, but at some point, everyone's starting to bitch about the local weekly money. Well, why do you think it gets stretched out? It's getting stretched out so thin, right? Because if they don't want to do the promotion, the sponsor grabs from the corporate world who maybe they don't want to spend, like there's so much racing, there's so much money, it's getting spread thin. You got your big events and everything else is next to nothing, right?
Like,
I think you need to have a mid-season break where everybody just agrees at some point in. I mean, I know we kind of do.
That's never going to happen, though. Because
I know it won't.
As soon as the big 3 take a week off, Clinton County races, all these other tracks that need it.
I get it.
Go race.
I get it.
Right.
But I get it. I'm just saying, look at what happened this year. There were so many people that were at a tip. I mean, the whole everything blew up. Silly season wise, people were getting all these posts on social media about how they were burnt out. And then if you do have 17 rainouts like Port Royal did, then you have an open week. You know what I mean? Maybe that you could make it up then, but
but for the same reason though, that they're almost we call them rainouts, but let's be real. A lot of these tracks could have raced and chose not to and called it a rainout, right? Because of the money in the fan situation. There's too much racing.
Mm-hmm.
They would have pushed. There were years, I remember back in the day, and Billy can remember, and a lot of these people in this chat can remember going to Lincoln and being there until 2 or 3 in the morning. They did everything they could all night long to get racing in. Now it's like 50-50, and they're like, oh, the people might not show up, we're out.
I think what Nicole's saying here, 1 week off for 4/10 a month, I think that would be perfect. And then if you have a rain out, then you push it to that week.
Sure.
That you have open. If not, then you have a week off.
You have 3 tracks. You have 3 big tracks that kind of run this area, in my opinion. And you have.
I think that's where the core of the problem start. To be honest,
you have Stevens Grove that can kind of capitalize when they're not racing, and then when none of them are racing, you have the Clinton counties, like great places that can seize opportunity to promote their event. I think the problem, I guess the overall point, the money it takes to run here, you could probably run a touring series with, like to be good, because we have so many time trial shows, we have so many big shows that you're.
Think about how a lot of these other states and regional series run. They don't necessarily have weekly racing. They will run every week, but they might go to a different track weekly, or maybe they run two. But it's not just one track every Friday. But what what I'm saying? Like MOA, Fast is that in Ohio? They'll travel around to different tracks around the state.
Tell Williams Grove not to race this Friday. Don't make any money whatsoever, so we can race at.
I'm not saying that.
Chris, they're going to do it until they stop making money, and that's why
Right.
they're calling them rainouts. They said, well, we race too much. It's iffy. It's 3 o'clock. We
Right.
blah blah blah.
No, I
We don't
agree
think people are going to show up because they'd watch it, stay home and watch it. If it races, they'll watch it on Dirt Vision and they'll cancel.
Like, I'm
But
talking
they're not gonna give up the
organizing
dates.
it.
But they're not going to give up the dates because they don't want to miss out. But at the same time, they can't have it both ways, and they do right now. They
Yeah,
don't.
yep.
Right? They
That's
can't
the
have
best way to
both
put it.
ways. That's
Right.
the problem. There's no competition on Friday nights. Think about if Bats wanted to race 410s on Friday nights, would they get cars?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting.
I think you would.
do think it'd be interesting.
But I think you split a small pot. I think you're looking at 14, 15 cars, maybe each track, if you're lucky.
Right.
You already get 14 at Williams Grove.
Billy's got a lot to say on the topic. We should get him on to talk about it.
I think it's time to have him back on. We're gonna have to have Billy Dietrich chapter 2 coming up soon. We're
Billy
getting that
Dietrich,
season.
Chapter 2, the truth.
Listen, I do want to have that style of Billy Dietrich and Ant Bay and some of these guys that are in, and not just talk about necessarily their season, but the state of things, because they're in it. We're just fans. Like, we're idiots. We don't really know what we're talking about. These guys are in it. I'd love to hear their opinions on it. I have my own opinion as a fan, but they're living it. They're spending the money in it, like more money than we ever will.
I'd love to do a roundtable of a driver or a driver owner, a promoter, a crew guy. Roundtable, talk about this type of stuff. It would be great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll 3 damn drivers in here. Let them just, we'll just
Fight.
ask the question. And
Let those guys,
Yeah.
let those three fight. We'll just sit here. And
Exactly. Hey, Grayson, thanks for coming in. Hey, by the way, Grayson, Steve Buckwalter's daughter, they have a pretty cool Facebook and YouTube page that kind of chronicles their journey around traveling with the team and the family. So go check out their page. It's pretty cool for sure. But yeah, what else? What are we doing next? What are we talking about?
Well, let's just wrap up Bridgeport here. Modifieds. I can't remember who won.
I do.
Who?
Neil Williams, the zero.
Neil Williams.
That's shaped like a diamond. He was the first car in the pits. Remember?
Yes. And he was who Alex picked, actually.
He did pick that,
Pre-show.
and that stood out to me. So I was praying he wouldn't win, but he did.
rigged. Shit's rigged.
It is rigged,
But our other guest on the pre-race show, Joseph Watson, he led most of that race. Got a bad restart towards. I don't want to say bad restart. Just the other guy got a better restart, and he wasn't able to catch up. But modifieds there, man, are fun to watch. I understand why it's a modified track. I was sitting with Jim Tenorelli, who is a local there and goes there. And after the first heat, where they're like 3-4 wide, and it was pretty good racing, he turns to me, and goes, "You see now? Do you get it?" I'm like, "I get it."
I should have still said no, but
I get it.
Well, that first heat,
it.
they were 3-4 wide because that one car, apparently the front row, had some fairly slow cars on the front row and just held everyone up. So they all had to fan out and go 3-4 wide. Sure, if it was 3-4 wide competitively, I think they were just trying to get around that guy, So, no, I'm just kidding. But no, I was entertained by it. I think that, I give those cars a lot of crap, and I don't follow that division a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely have places they race better at and where they don't, right? I think that probably if you go and follow them around, you're going to find some places you're like, man, I can't wait to see those cars on this track. And Bridgeport's one of those. I think they do race well there for sure.
Absolutely. So great event overall. Thanks to all of our pre-race show guests, and congratulations to them. They all had great runs. And I want to again thank Alex Robinson, Doug Rose, and the entire Bridgeport crew for opening their doors to us and letting us do our thing on Saturday, and putting on a great event. It was a great time. Weather was great. They were, just I was surprised pulling up, seeing all the campers that were there and everything. Like it felt like a pretty nice event. So they have their Serrano 50 modified race to close out the season with some street stocks and I think news sprints again. Friday and Saturday. So if you're in the area, I would definitely go check it out. Modified's there, 50 lapper, big race for them. It's definitely going to be a great event. If not, catch it on Flow. But definitely, if you have not been to Bridgeport, I couldn't recommend it anymore. So thanks to them, and let's move on.
I won't recommend it anymore. You're right.
Can we just see the comment from Tony Can you imagine a Danny Dietrich, Billy Dietrich, Alan Kreitzer roundtable? My God.
We need to get Danny on here. We got to try that again.
That roundtable alone.
That roundtable idea is brilliant.
We need to definitely hire an announcer for that one.
Does the table have to be round though?
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It could be square.
Yes,
it could
it's
be
a round
triangle.
table, Jeremy. It has to be round.
We should host it from the Dietrich shop. Is what we should do.
Can you imagine?
We got the wheels
Danny,
turning up
Billy,
there.
and Dan. Oh God.
I'll bring good beer
with a cooler of icy lights and bush apples.
All
My God.
right. Well, let's go to the next topic. The other big topic that we kind of missed out on since we had a lot going on in the past 2 weeks, so we didn't really have a live show. High Limit, being Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson, purchasing the All-Star Circuit of Champions from Tony Stewart and company, or just Tony Stewart, I guess. How do we feel about it, and what do we think the future of the All-Stars and High Limit are? Chris, why don't you go first?
I'm a little leery. I hope the All-Stars keep going in some form as a regional series or something, right? I think in my head the perfect scenario is All-Stars run a regional schedule with midweek races as High Limit, and whatever that is, if it's not that, if they're going straight up with the World Racing Group, World of Outlaws, I don't know. I don't know if that's good for sprint car racing, but I guess we'll see. We don't know. There's a lot we don't know yet.
Yeah, I think we're not going to hear a lot until at least PRI in December on anything. I think it's going to be a lot of rumor mill. This person said this person said that. Here's what they're doing. All-Stars are never going to run in the Northeast again. They're just going to be a California series now type of rumor type of shit that you're going to hear. Because you know what I mean? So until we see a schedule, we don't really know. I do hope that they kind of preserve the All-Stars
history.
The history for one, because it is one of the longest touring series, but it was also a Midwest Northeast type of. It was from Indiana to PA type of series. You know what I mean? I hope they kind of preserve that. I don't worry, but I question what the future of like a race like the Tuscarora 50 is now. At first I was like, oh, this could really bump it up. But at the same time, then you start hearing other things. If they're going to try to be a national tour, do they still get the same backing? Who knows? But there's a lot of questions. Kyle Larson did say something though in his press conference at Martinsville, and I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to try to find it about in terms of the scheduling.
Right.
Casey, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that I hope. I don't know if I have thoughts yet, right? Because if I'm honest with myself and look at what the All-Stars did last year, they did everything they could to not race in PA. They wanted to go elsewhere. Right. They didn't want to get the money taken from them, so they went and raced elsewhere. So, yeah, whatever. The car counts were dwindling as far as committed teams on the series. They had good car counts when they raced, but the teams that were committed to the series were dwindling. Cars on the series, cars off the series, all the driver changes really had an effect. I hope they preserve, however they do this, I hope they preserve the weeknight deal. Once a month, twice a month, maybe. I don't know where those are held, if those are still special like High Limit did already, and that becomes like its thing. And then they have a point series for the All-Stars that, doesn't pull away, as in a sense. So, right. For instance, if you have an All-Star, it's a High Limit, touring series that races 50 races, states regional, but then you have some weekday shows, just like they just did, and has the freedom to move around, show off what they do, get viewership, get people in the stands, and have cars show up. I know they want to have a West Coast presence. I don't know what that's going to end up meaning. I don't know how that works. I don't know how they can't expect cars that are east of the Mississippi to really just go on a whim for a race. But there aren't enough cars on the West Coast. But in the West Coast, you have weekly series at weekly tracks. So, I think that, listen, they're not going to go into this without researching it or doing it on a whim or putting a lot at risk here. I mean, I think that the risk they are assuming is already taken when they bought a series. So I think they have to be really smart about this. Um, but I look at this more from a 1,000-foot view in the landscape of 410 sprint car racing. Of it's the biggest threat to the world of outlaws it's been in since ever. I mean, maybe NST, but what encourages me about this is the backing. Right, you don't have two broke guys going into it. They have sponsorship backing. There's money backing. They've proven they can put asses in the seats and cars and show up. So I think it's a big threat.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I found, and these are kind of generic quotes from Larson, but I do think if you read between the lines, you can kind of see where he's going with what he said. We're still trying to piece together our schedule and haven't seen obviously what the Outlaws have for the schedule, but we want what's best for the sport. We wouldn't have gotten this series if we didn't want what's best for the sport. It's hard to predict the future, how that's going to look, but I love their track racing. That's the whole goal with this, to continue to grow it and get it to a place where I feel like it deserves to be and where the teams and drivers are making a good living. We'll see where it shakes out. Our goal is to definitely raise purses. When you buy something, you want to make it better for the teams. That's our goal. I think there's more risk on our end with a much larger schedule than we will hopefully have.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, I think that, and listen, I think they can afford to put some money into it for those first couple years, and all they need to do is show that they give a shit about the teams, and they're going to get teams. There's been comments about that, and for whatever world racing group and the reputation they carry in the sprint car world, I don't think it's very healthy at times. So if Brad and Kyle can show teams they give a shit, both monetarily and care about the teams and their well-being, because they're the ones that actually put the show on, turns out it's not about your series, it's about your teams and the fans to show up.
who would have thought?
Who would have thought it's not about you, it's about your teams and your fans. Not about you. We'll see, but I'm excited to see how it all shakes out.
Sean Keane says, my understanding from a couple sources, All Stars are done, no more. It's World of Outlaws on High Limit. Larson said he wants to keep it midweek show. High Limit normal show is 2,000 better than World of Outlaw. I kind of hope they keep it separate. I could see them maybe doing like an all-star regional thing. Like maybe they have, like, when they go down to Florida, they don't count it as darn
Right.
toward their main points. It's kind of like its own little series. Maybe they do that out in California, and then you have your main series kind of like how it was. And then you have your high limit deal. Maybe high limit expands to, maybe 15, 20 races midweek. I don't know. A lot of questions to ask. A lot of things that we're gonna keep hearing. I would hate to see the All Stars go away. I would hate to see that brand go away. But maybe it is time for a change. Maybe it's time for a refresh, and it'll be good for. If it fails, then you have somebody go and reboot the All Star series and bring it back, and I'm sure that would be a big nostalgia trip. That would
nobody
be
likes
popular.
I don't know. I'm with Jeremy here. I would love for the All Stars, whatever branding, be a regional series, separate point fun, high limit, do its thing like it did this year under one umbrella. I get what you're saying, but at some point, I mean, if you're Kyle Larson, if you're Brad Sweet, you're stretching resources thinner and thinner. High limit, we saw it this year. The car counts stayed solid.
They were pretty good,
but not, I think, what everyone thought they were going to be.
They averaged like 40 cars.
I don't know. I think maybe it's just me. It's just like the energy felt dwindle from high limit down the stretch.
Well, it did for everybody in the sport, didn't it? I mean, you saw drivers
right,
walking away, rides changing. You're traveling like their last couple of races. If they're west of the Mississippi or out there, like, what do you expect, right? Only 6 teams did every race or something. So,
right.
I think that's kind of the key here, though, with these guys buying it, is that they might make it more worthwhile for guys to want to travel. I think that's the whole overall goal here, is that if you bring the money, people will be willing to travel.
So, sure, but I guess my thought is, so this whole Gold Cup, whatever it is, idea they have. That falls in September on the West Coast. If they're going to schedule an event on the West Coast in California in September, that doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot of sprint car teams because a lot of the big races are happening here. The 50, the National Open, the World Finals. Like, I get that they're months apart, but there's a lot of money here on the East Coast. So it's like something to think about. Again, in the day, they're smart. I'm dumb.
But
something to think about.
you also can't spread sprint car racing from its hotbeds unless you get out of those hotbeds a little bit and expose it to people. Right? I mean, at some point, I mean, you got to balance that, obviously.
I mean, right. That's why they're the smart people. We're dumb people. These are the things that I think about that are like, I don't know, man. I would like the Jeremy idea where there's the high limit deal, its own little point system, umbrella or not. All Stars still, that regional series mattered to Ohio, Western PA, Lower New York, whatever that region, I think would benefit if this is done. Call it the right way, but like done in a way that is truly better for sprint car racing, and not just going after World Racing Group and the World of Outlaws.
I got 3 big question marks around this whole deal about their futures, and the one is pretty easy: is the Tuscarora 50, and the Tuscarora 50 could go a million different directions, but it is kind of. We kind of do wonder what's going to happen with that because that's been All-Star sanctioned, and ever since it's been All-Star sanctioned, that race has grown in national popularity tenfold.
And it's one that I would say is a prime high limit event, except if we go this Gold Cup, I think it's route, same weekend.
Can a series run 2 races at the same time in a different location?
If you do 2 different type of,
but if it's not 2 separate things, point race, right? Maybe it's not point.
Right. You're talking that would change the game right there. If you're doing 2 sanctioned events, opposite sides of the country, and going at it, that's a whole nother level of promotion and thinking that we haven't seen, and that would be crazy to watch.
Chris, I'm not sure what happened to Will Luce, but you're right. I haven't seen him.
I saw him at the track at. Oh, where did I see him? Just in the last week, maybe Bass. I saw him, said hi to him. I've seen him at the track a little bit. He's been around a little bit. Definitely backed off his presence. I think there were some issues at a race a month or 2 ago, and he felt like his wife was threatened.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Physical harm potentially by a fan. So I'm not sure the details of that. It's really not my business. But he didn't feel comfortable at the racetrack, which is a goddamn shame.
Yes, it is.
Shame on anybody who was a part of that, if you were. But I've seen him around the track a little bit. Definitely just slowed down, backed off on the content.
Okay, so there's that. Hope everything's okay with him. Sounds like everything's okay. My thoughts on Tuscarora 50 is I hope it gets the backing it deserves, either by High Limit, All Stars, whatever the hell you want to call it. Get it to like $100,000. And that would be great. I think that would be great for it, but that's a pipe dream, maybe. I think that's a lot easier said than done. Second one, Ohio Speed Week. What happens there? Rumors that they're going to back out of that.
What do you guys think? I saw that there might be another thing to take it over. I think that
does Maverick take over that deal?
I read somewhere where they're the guys.
I saw
that
Fast.
Group, Fast is what I saw. But even still, there'll still be money there. Won't be all-star money. That might be better for those teams, not having a Tyler Courtney or those type of guys coming in. Because, let's call it what it is. They're not. Most of those local teams are not competing with the top all-star teams.
Well, let's be honest. Ohio Speed Week is the pit to our Penn State. They're like the little sister, okay? Anything Ohio is like the little sister of PA Speed Week. So let's not just get too.
When you think about it, with the All-Star sanction, and the All-Stars were that really took that Speed Week to, I feel like, another level. They were getting 50, 60 cars every night, thanks to I think partially and thanks to the All-Star sanctioning. and they were able to run that really well. It's not just the sanctioning through, it's the officials, it's everything that goes with it that helps
Right.
makes
It made it
the
run
show run smooth.
Sure.
So we'll see what the future is for that. And then the third one was, Brad Sweet could wrap up his 5th consecutive World of Outlaw title. This is probably his retirement project. Does he? And if so, when does he leave the Outlaws to maybe go run this deal full time? I could see it as happening as soon as next year.
He's not retiring. He's gonna be
No. But I mean,
Oh.
leaving the World of Outlaws.
Oh yeah, this will be his last weekend, I would imagine. I can't see why he would go race the Outlaw Series next year. I mean, I guess I'll believe it when I see it, but at this point, I'm just going to assume he's going to go run his new series.
That's where I'm at.
Both from admin and also as a competitor with Napa, right? Is Napa going to be a part of the series, not just on his car?
That would be huge.
I think there's a lot in play there, but I can't see absolutely any reason that he wouldn't run the Outlaw Series. So, this could be the farewell, take your money and run deal.
The walk-off. Walk-off, 5 straight titles. Right. See you later. I'm going to run my own deal. I'll come see you guys at Knoxville or Kings Royal.
Remember when Steve Kinzer left the Outlaws and then he was back a couple years later. So now he wasn't running NST, but he was a defector.
Yeah.
And went back. So who knows, right? I mean, we'll see. But yeah, we'll see what the World Finals brings this weekend. And he's been in this position before where it's been within reach from a competitor and he's locked it down. So again, same thing. Unless we see him lose it, it's his. He's been here, done that.
Tony Stewart did it when he took it over. He ran the series pretty much full time. It helped boost the sport, I believe, or boost the series, I believe. You know what I mean? Like it helped get people to the track and open their eyes to it. And I don't see why Brad and obviously Kyle, when he can race, would do it. And I think that could be big. I mean, that could Ampe said, I heard Brad has been trying to recruit guys to go run their series. Absolutely. Sure. I could see if depending on how their schedule is, I could see guys like, that haven't been running maybe the Outlaws a lot or maybe have run it a long time. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't think we can assume because we don't have a schedule yet.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Until we
is it going to be West Coast based, Midwest, East Coast? Is it going to travel from East to West, which is a problem for big teams sometimes, let alone small middle teams.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really just a wait and see. He can recruit all he wants on the side, and these teams have to understand and know where the hell they're going to go. Like, they got to have an indication of going, well, we're going to be basing kind of here. This is where we're going to be doing our thing. So, maybe there's obviously communications going on between Brad and the teams, and we don't get to be privy to it, but we're all going to find out together. But he's not going to recruit people unless he can make it financially feasible for a team to travel that much.
Sure, but he can't make it financially feasible unless he recruits people. You can't have a series without teams. So
every team comes into a different. Bill Rose has a different budget than Casey Kane or I don't know Tyler Courtney or whoever. It's a way different deal, and can he promise Bill Rose way more money to make it through the series than he would a top tier driver? Like, does that work that way? Do contracts differ from a series? It's the same thing, right? Like, I don't know that answer, but if it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. That team, every team's gonna have to make that decision and say what's best for me, not to be best for the sport, because they can't afford to be what's best for the sport. You can't go bankrupt and then you're just gone. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
For sure.
Chris, you got more thoughts on this?
No, I think Jay-Z's right on. Like,
there you go.
Could want anyone he wants, but if he doesn't have the star power, how are you going to sell the series to make it relevant? If you're going up against the World of Outlaws and you have Bill Rose, Brock, and everyone else.
But star power is different. Star power, you can split and take people and say, you can make this and I'll make it okay for you. It's going to be what fills out that roster from drivers 6 through 12.
Right, but if those guys are Joe Schmo from mid-Ohio somewhere, versus what the World of Outlaws have.
But
I don't know.
it's not really that. What I'm saying is, if you have the World of Outlaws, you have Bounty Shop, Logan Schuhart, and David Gravel.
Sure.
And over here, you're going to have Brad Sweet and Tyler Courtney and Sheldon Hodenshield. I'll pick those top three against each other, right? They're star power.
Sure.
That success will be made up from drivers 6 through 12. And can they put on a show and have enough cars show up?
But I think
you're going to pull star power from one to the other. I think your top tier drivers can be just as good. I would take this last version of the All Stars, whooped our ass at Port Royal. They're pretty damn good. That's pretty good star power.
Yeah, I mean,
Deb and Tyler Courtney and
But from a marketing side,
Brad Sweet is the marketing and Kyle Larson's the marketing.
Yes,
but they're not outlaws.
they got it built in.
They don't need to be. Kyle Larson puts ass in the seats clearly and not an outlaw, is he?
Sure, but I'm saying if you're having a touring sprint car series, it's not the World of Outlaws.
Yeah.
You got to change that vibe of you're not the premier sprint car series in America.
You can be, and you're fighting for it with Brad Sweet, Kyle Larson.
I mean, that's a good team to have, but you still have to overcome a lot of things.
Why? They did it this year on weeknight.
They didn't know.
Why didn't they? The viewership was great. They could afford to buy a whole series and go after it.
I was going to say they did it. The High Limit series was very successful
with tons of money paid out with no guarantees at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this is the best thing they have. That's been a threat in a long, long time.
I mean,
now,
sure.
World Racing Group is a
World Racing Group is a 1 year.
I get that, but they didn't even have committed drivers. They weren't outlaws, and they still won. They still did a great job and brought drivers and had a great purpose from all over the country. Now you're going to take and say, we're going to give you 50 races and we're going to take care of you, right? Not just give a shit about you, but also financially, and have good purses, and we'll put asses in the seats and sell merch. You think drivers won't be interested in that, especially if they didn't have a great experience on the Outlaw Tour?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the caveat, like the World of Outlaws are still the premier division. Winning the Outlaws title still matters. That's how you're measured in sprint car world. Outside of sprint car world, it's World of Outlaw champion. 20 times Steve Kenzer. No one cares you won the All-Star Championship. So they have to fight that mindset. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean, I think you just look at Lucas Oil and the Outlaw and the late model world. That's what Kyle Larson wants to do, and he's seen it and he's been living it. He wants to have a Lucas Oil and World of Outlaw deal, right? They create that where Lucas Oil, you win the Lucas Oil Championship, it's just as prestigious at this point. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, for sure. It's probably more prestigious.
More up until the playoff thing, but yeah, more because
no reason it can't be, right? So I think that's what they're going for, and if they can get, again, I think it comes down to cars. I mean, it really does. You can't end up with 4 or 5 committed drivers at the end of the season. Like you
definitely need to have 7 to 10 full-time guys that make it all the way.
Right. Well, the Outlaws end up with full-time random all 10.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe about 10.
I meant either way, you need to have 7 or 10.
It's hard to find full-time traveling guys. I mean, in sprint cars, it's really hard right now.
Because there's so much
late models. There's a lot more. There's a lot more guys that'll go and do it.
There's more cars than late models. Sprint car guys, look at a guy like Brent Marks, can do whatever the hell he wants, and he, money-wise, is right there with most touring guys, and he didn't even come on until the second half of the year.
I could see a guy like, and if the money's right, which I think it will be, you get a guy like that. We're talking about Brad Sweet, Kyle Larson, a guy like Rico Abreu. You get him, man. You're packing the stands, no matter where you go. So they can, because the Outlaws have not been able, and part of that's Rico building his program up. But Rico's ready now to go. He's been doing it just on his own. Maybe there's a reason why he didn't go to Outlaw Racing. Maybe he saw this coming. I don't know, but I could see him absolutely going with something like this.
But also, you're seeing guys like him, Brent Marks, these other guys that can just hit up whatever race they want.
Yeah, but why did they do that? But why did they do that in the first place?
makes financial
They're still
sense to
traveling.
them.
Financial sense. They knew
Right.
it didn't make financial sense on the Outlaw Tour. So now, if Brad and Kyle can make a compelling argument that financially they can make this work for these teams, and they put it out there, could you end up with, again, I don't know anything, but you have Brad, Kyle, Rico, Brent, Sheldon,
Sure.
like Donnie Schatz. I don't know where he goes or what he's doing,
E-
but think about that top 5 or 6 roster. Even if it ends up with those 4 or 5 right there, you're telling me that every race, every night, that's not something that is
No,
impactful.
no, I'm saying that's very important, and it's a very impactful thing. But I just don't know how realistic it is. We had to see the schedule.
find
There's
out.
too many
Yeah,
moving things.
until we know the schedule, I'm not. I think the thing that's least amount in question is the money's probably going to be there.
I mean,
Yeah,
Larson and
Four
Brad
teams
Sweet
to go do
are-
it. It's just depends on the intensity of the schedule.
You're not getting
Yeah.
too many more convincing guys than Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson in sprint car racing. So, like, if there's anyone that can do it, Tony did a hell of a job with All Stars, and he was the most convincing guy in sprint car racing when he took it over.
Yes.
I think you see that same kind of thing, but it's how long can it go on for, and to what level, and something's got to give at some
I just
point.
want them to have
Something
30
will give.
events. I just want them to have 30 events in Central PA. Are we good with that?
Yeah, the high limit
And
PA
those are special races. my
And
guy.
once they
I'll
race
tell
them
you.
all, they're all posse. So fuck them.
It's definitely going to be something interesting to watch, and as we find out little tidbits, we will pass them along to you guys. There's a lot of I heard this, I heard that flying around, and I think there's a little bit of truth to everything. I don't think there's anything set in stone yet, and it's going to be fun to find out. Do we want to go
Next.
in? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's next? Fire away.
Do we want to go into spicy rumors, or do we want to go into silly season?
Silly season.
Silly season. Okay. Corey Eliason out of the 11 car.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. If Corey Eliason gets another
He
big
will.
time national seat, I would be kind of shocked.
Would
Nothing
not.
against him. He's a good, solid driver, but he's been.
He's the kind of guy that will hang around and win a couple races, run just good enough.
Yeah,
He's gonna get another one.
he's a
he's
good
like a
guy.
He's a prime
He's solid with
candidate.
it. He's a solid driver. He's just not a guy like.
He's
and
a
the
prime
rides that he's been in, you
candidate
just
for the
expect him to
Roth
win more.
83 car at some point. Like, he's the kind of guy that
Probably
runs
won't be.
just good enough.
Do you say the Roth 83 car?
Yes, I did say that.
See, I was thinking, you know how Buddy's been kind of running that second one and they run back in California? I could see Corey going to do something like that. That's
Right.
the first thing that I thought of.
Something like that. Like, that's this kind of guy. Like, he's fast, just inconsistent. And then he goes and wins, and then he goes and wrecks. Or he's just whatever.
Sunshine to Tony Stewart Racing is something that Sean
That'd be
Keane put
big.
in here. That's the first time I'm hearing that, but I did hear
Well-
something else about Tony Stewart
well,
Racing.
The rumor on the street is
Rumor,
Tony Stewart Racing's driver might be going to the 11 car, so that
Right.
would leave an opening,
making room for Don maybe? I don't know.
and vice versa.
That's
Who
just
knows?
rumors. It'd be crazy to see Tony
Would they
or
change the
Donnie Schatz
number-
leave Tony Stewart Racing, but I think it's a possibility right now.
If he goes to the 11, would it then become the 15? That's the
No,
big
so
question.
it was at 11. But here's the
That's
weird
dumb.
thing about this,
That
the whole
makes me
TSR
mad.
thing. Yeah, that was dumb. The whole TSR thing. Rumors are the TSR, the Cup team, is going to be going to Chevy in a year or two, right? So
Heard
the
that.
Ford program would leave TSR's 410, and it's going to go to that 11, is what I've heard. And I'm sorry,
Interesting.
it's going to 26. It's going to Zeb. Okay, Zeb's going to be the poster boy for the Ford.
He's already running it.
Already running it. He's going to be that. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if there is no TSR dirt team.
Would
Tony
be
just
in
getting
line
out of-
with Tony selling everything off.
Tony's been selling everything ever since, and
Since
Full-time
he got
drag
married.
racer now.
ever since I don't want to be that guy, but
You are.
I mean we all think it. Ever since he got into the drag racing thing, ever since he got married,
He's
Dirt's
putting
been
Yeah,
on a
but he's
pedestal.
and honestly the
The
All
Chevy
Stars
thing
went
makes sense.
down. you could even say Eldora went down a little bit in like they've had some really bad events this year. I mean, and it just could be just luck. I'm not saying it's, but there's a common denominator there.
Kind of luck.
Don't shoot the messenger.
And then you go to go to Chevy so he can sell off his good old buddy Dale Jr. Boom. This is not a NASCAR podcast. Continue on.
I mean, there's a lot of overlap though.
So Donnie Schatz then runs for Junior
Crouch.
Motorsports there,
The number 7 car when Algar retires.
and then does Brexton Bush then drive that car someday?
Probably.
I thought it was Logan Wagner. I thought Logan Wagner was going to Junior Motorsports, and
he
then
got
Jacob
fired.
Allen was going to the
Jacob Allen and
Zemco
Junior
one. There's a whole deal.
In case y'all are wondering, this is what you learned in the Port Royal
3 years
infield.
ago. That was that 2 years ago now?
That was
over.
no, 2021. That was 2 years ago.
The backstory of that, we had some random fans.
That's around when this kind of started.
We had some random
Listen,
fans who turned to at Port Royal believing that the rumor mill that we started just being drunk idiots.
No, idiot. They're the ones that told us.
They're the ones that told us.
We were sober. They told us.
And we just ran with it.
Yeah. So there was an article that came out a while ago about Logan Wagner. There was an opportunity for him to go to Junior Motorsports. I don't even know if it's an opportunity.
When Jimmy says a while ago, he does mean 6 to 5 years ago.
Yeah, but there was an article that came out, and right after that article came out, it was like with this fan that we talked to, it was like set in stone. Like he's going to Junior Motorsports. Jacob Allen's going to go to the Zemco 1Z, and it went down this whole rabbit hole of all these different changes, kind of like a silly season like we're having this year.
This is like 2021 Tuscarora 50.
But it was the silliest of all silly
Jimmy
seasons.
researched this article. It was like Speed Sport or somebody covered this thing.
And it was just
signed.
It was an interview with Logan Wagner, and Logan Wagner said he was going to, there was like a little opportunity for him to maybe go NASCAR racing at one point in his career.
Charlotte touring Junior Motorsports.
It was wild. Anyway,
crazy.
None of that is true.
As it turns out.
That's the truth, though. None of that is true, but that's the truth.
Yeah, October 8th of 20. There's the article. October 8th of 2021 on Speed Sport. Almost a month passed since Logan Wagner's weekend of a lifetime in the Juniata Valley. Oh wait, 1 minute. Hold on. Where's it at here? I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe. It was late 2017, and Wagner tasted the stock car dream when he stepped into the dazzling race shop of Junior Motorsports. He packed the essentials, only business trip to the Heartland. Closed for a few days, the momentum of a noteworthy sprint car season and his winsome personality. I wanted to see what it would take to get a NASCAR development deal. I thought, how do I get started with this process? And that turned into him being employed by Junior Motorsports. So there's that. Oh, they wanted money, Wagner added, and I didn't have it. There you go. That ended that dream. That was in 2017. You are
2017.
2021.
As I say, it was like 4 years at the point.
But in 2021, that was 2022. Logan Wagner, Junior Motorsports. Mark it down.
He only needed another $100,000, but Junior Motorsports was all about it. Which means you can walk in there with enough money; they are all about you driving their race car.
I mean, you see some of the drivers that they do have.
Chris Lynn to Junior Motorsports.
Confirm. See this Chevy money?
All you need is money, bud.
That's what you're for, Daddy.
Silly season, baby. Let's go.
All right. Let's steer this back on track. All right. Lyson out of Crouch. We'll see what happens with him. I do think I see like the Roth 83 was like the first thing that not on the Outlaw Tour, but maybe just like in California, taking over for maybe Buddy or something. But I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens with him. I'm sure he'll find something. He is a very capable driver. I just don't know if he will get another national ride again. Oh, we'll see.
Those rides are overrated anyway.
Jacob Allen is back this week.
Maybe
back in the saddle again down at Charlotte. Good to see him back. I guess Shark will run 3 cars this week at the World Finals. Lance DeWeese is also going down there. My cousin Andrew, I should have posted the picture of him wearing the Turn 2 Terribles merch down in Charlotte. He was at Martinsville yesterday. He said on 81 he saw all the posse haulers heading down. He saw a bunch of haulers heading down. So you'll be Redneck Jackass podcast. Thanks. That's pretty much what we are.
Spot on.
What the hell's that?
I don't know. It's probably like a Brett Strickler burner account or something.
Oh, we the Redneck Jackass
I think
podcast?
it's us. Yeah, I think that's
who
us.
else
Or
would
do you
be?
have one that I should go watch?
So, yeah, is that the name of one? Or do we have to rename ours that now?
We already talked a little bit about Tyler Ross leaving the 75, going to the 5. He's already had some success. He ran really well at Bridgeport. Oh, somebody we forgot to. We'll get to that at the end. Let's get to that at the end. We forgot to totally mention a really great run.
You're definitely the host. So,
who else?
well, you said
Somebody
Ross,
else.
Bollinger, Travis Esch.
Aaron Bollinger staying in Travis Esch's number 5 for next year. That was another one that came out this week.
I don't know if Billy's still here, but I can confirm he's still in the Billy Dietrich Racing number 8.
Dylan Norris leaving. The Gobrecht 44 team shutting down. Dylan Norris leaving. That's a big one. It's been a car that's been around here for almost like 10 years now.
9 years.
9 years.
Racing, Gilbert Motorsports. I saw the post. I mean, I didn't realize the guys they had there. It was a good little foundation team. Like Chase Dietz was there. Some other guys. Didn't realize it. So appreciation for them and what they've done over 9 years. And that operation was top notch. So
yeah,
definitely a void. I think going into next year, it's a local team that we had that was top dollar. So
Norris ran this past weekend in the 11P. I don't know if that's like gonna be like a. I think that maybe that was just like a hey, I need a ride type of deal, and I'm open or whatever. I don't know if it's anything in the future, but we'll see. I'm sure Dylan will find something. If it's not in a 410, it'll definitely be in a 358 or something. But I think 410. We'll see there. But yeah, sad to see it such a prominent team shut down. But such is life, I guess. You know what I mean? That
is
one door
life.
closes, another one opens.
That is life of a race car team and driver.
Yeah, that means there's a bunch of stuff out on the market, probably.
Yeah, Aunt Bay just bought it all. That's what I heard. Kyle Spence could go over him next year.
And then Brennan O'Rourke here just saying this is outside of PA, but Timez getting let go by RMS. He's been there for 5 years, I think.
5 years from the post.
So I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's a electric personality for midget racing, and he's a good driver. So I'm sure he'll find something. He helped build that whole program up. So I'm sure he'll find something. I think they're keeping Justin Grant, and
I saw that. Just Grant, and they're exploring opportunities for a national tour next year. From what I read from their press release.
Midget racing's in a weird spot. Weirder than sprint car
spots.
racing. You know what I mean? Huh?
Just weirder than most spots. Like, God.
But yes, I feel bad for Timez, but I feel like this has been coming.
I feel like Timez, the mutually parted ways thing, like.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he probably already has something lined up. He just can't announce it yet. I'm hoping that's the case. So yeah, that's silly season update. Couple moves there. I'm sure we're gonna see a couple more here, especially World Finals. Usually World Finals, we start hearing about some stuff. You'll start seeing, I know, like sponsorship deals and shit like that. So keep your eye out.
So you mentioned Lance Louise going out with the sheer 12. How does he do down there?
Oh yeah,
well, I mean,
they didn't going down there to 69K too.
They didn't show a whole lot of speed in
Bass. It was a struggle. I don't think I wasn't surprised. Lance historically, at least in the last couple of years, hasn't been the legend Lance that we come to know from Williams Grove and Port at Bass. And that 12 car, I don't even remember seeing it. Billy never drove it there. It was always the 8 car. So I'm not surprised. I mean, they were quick, but it wasn't like,
Well, they went backwards in the feature. They weren't really quick. They weren't really fast. But this whole deal is to shake down for next year and see what they need to work.
Right,
So
so it makes
it
sense.
really
It's
does not
basically
matter. The results
live action
today,
testing.
the results today don't mean anything for next year except what they want to go work on in the off season. So then, and they said in an interview, Lance said in an interview that they're taking it down to Charlotte to see what they have. They just want to see
Right.
to figure out what they need to order, fix, repair, improve for next year to go out
Right.
and be competitive.
Right, and they'll figure it out. Obviously, it would not surprise me one bit. Opening day winners go up next year. Lance and that 12 team wins. Like,
We'll see. I mean, I don't. He showed speed. It took them a little bit to get going in the 39M, and he finally got a win towards the end there of their small stint. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm with you. I think this is the perfect time. I
Yeah.
think you're seeing a lot of it. You're seeing a couple different trial runs here, and that's what this time of the season's for, is to figure out, hey, will this work for next year? Can we make it work? What do we need to do to change for next year?
Hey,
All
listen,
that. So
he's been better in that 39M than Macri back in it. I mean, he's got DQ'd back spots and then he has a DNF. I mean, I
that's
think
true.
Lance to the 39M next year. He's going to run 100 races, 50 in the 12 and 50 in the 39M.
confirmed. I know, Jeremy, you just saw it. We're a good transition here. Done silly season. Should we mention Brett Strickler and that news that just came through?
So, friend of the podcast, Brett Strickler, local 410 racer, sort of related to what we do. We do iRacing and a little bit of sim racing in the wintertime, and he has qualified for the World of Outlaw Pro Series.
Hell yeah.
Racing. So he will be. You'll be able to see him on Dirt Vision this winter. I believe they're still doing that on Dirt Vision, right?
I believe so. Yeah, Chase Robinson should still be hosting it, right? That's who did it.
Mm-hmm.
Chase was the PA for that deal, so should see one of our local posse members racing against the world's best.
So we should all go to, is that Bronco Billy's beef jerky?
Bronco Billy's is one of his main sponsors.
We should
sure.
definitely be buying some beef jerky because that's a pretty big deal there.
Yeah, buy your Bronco Billies as you're watching the pro races this winter.
Gobble up. Anyway.
Congratulations, Brett.
Be excited to watch him do that. We'll have to have those on while we do shows this winter on the side. We'll have to peek at that a little bit.
What other rumors do we want to talk about?
Maybe we might see the 00 at BAPS next weekend. Maybe they're trying to talk the owner into maybe running BAPS for the final showdown with Kyle Spence and Ant Bay. So we'll see about that.
Hell yeah!
The Les Stewart sprint showdown, 25,000 to win,
big money to start.
2,000-ish to start, just about.
Yeah, big time. Looking forward to that.
If that car is not there, Ant Bay better say hi to me this time and not just.
He's talking to it. It's happening. Confirmed.
Oh.
You're welcome, Ant. We have your back.
Let's. I was going to bring this up later if we did drink it or dump it, but Kyle Spence, man, Ant had that thing ripping. They had some issues early on at Bridgeport. Had to go. They ran out in the dash to get things shook out. Ended up charging up into the top 10. Pretty impressive run. Showed some speed and definitely was, I think, 9th place. Correct.
22nd to 9th.
22nd to 9th.
Even though
and I was all, not to take away from that, but Ricky Diva with the top 10, his first career top 10, he looked good. Like speed was there. I know that who's been helping on that car? Ant knows this. Who's been helping him on that car here? Former driver, I think. Son of a gun.
Well, you figure that out. The spooky stuff keeps continuing.
Yeah,
we mentioned Brett Strickler. Brett Strickler is now watching.
Tyler Brenn's been helping out with that. Former 358, local 358 driver in that Recchi-owned car. Unfortunately, the owner passed away, and that they folded whatever. But he's been helping him out, and I've noticed that there's been speed in that car since. So looking forward to Ricky Diva and seeing him around more because definitely he's had his challenges the last couple of years here locally. So. We'll see. Another good car, competitive car in PA is not a bad thing. So, first career top 10 at Bridgeport. And I think, by the way, getting Kyle comfortable in the 410 has taken a little bit of time. He's been very consistent. Doesn't tear up the equipment, but he's trying to get a feel and what he likes. And I think that they finally maybe not finally, but turned a little bit of a corner this weekend on getting Kyle comfortable in what he needs to make speed. And some of that's just seat time. So that's where they're at right now. So the more he can get in that seat, the better.
Yeah, for sure. Good. Awesome. I was going to say, I meant to go see them in the pits to do some shoeies with Ant, but that didn't happen.
Then we're not savages like Jeremy.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Let's just talk quick about World Finals then. Brad Sweet with a 56-point lead or something like that, going into 3 nights of racing they have. We drank all the beer and went to Applebee's.
Sounds right.
That sounds about right.
Shit.
I walked right into the pits as a lot of the 410 drivers were. I think Ant and Reinhardt were the only 410 drivers left, and they were packing up and on their way to be done by the time I got into the pits at the end. Hung out with Silver Crown again next year for the 86. Shout out Chase Dietz. That's something I didn't know. That's good. That makes sense because Chase ran really, really well.
What a season! What a season debut! What a year to debut in a Silver Crown car and have the runs they had. World Finals. The one thing that I'm already glad why I'm not going is it's gonna be cold as hell down there.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I feel like people go down to the World Finals. It's North Carolina. It's in October, and they freeze their asses off every damn year. And I'm like, why do y'all do that? You could do that.
Last year was unseasonably warm, but yeah, almost every year.
Yeah, it was so cold this weekend down there, and they're in North Carolina freezing their asses off. I do want to go do that one year. I just haven't put it together. There's a lot of things I want to go do and put together, but World Finals is definitely a pretty cool deal. Lots of cars, lots of racing. Definitely a valuable ticket, meaning you get a lot for your money. So
who knows? Next year, T2T hits up Martinsville, travels on south to the World Finals. Who knows?
Maybe. That would be cool.
We would die.
I'm in.
We would absolutely die.
Yeah. Wait, which one?
There you go. Next year, you're going down as the tire guy for the 00.
Well, all of us. Which one of us?
You're the tire guy. I work for Perigo.
No. Yeah, Ant's my dad.
But no, if we did that road trip, we would all probably die.
Who are we looking at as favorites maybe to win? Because not just the World of Outlaw title, but maybe who's strong down at the Charlotte that we should probably keep an eye on? Logan Schuchart. I think Brent.
No.
Brent's
Jeremy
definitely one.
Pick, so I'm gonna go.
I'd like to see Brent get a win down there. I don't know if historically he's been outstanding.
Him and Brock were 1-2 last year in the final race.
Yeah,
right.
If I remember correctly.
That's right. He did finish off the year with the win after debuting that scheme. Or no? Yeah. Was that last year or the year before?
Yeah. It was one of the years. I want to say it was last year because Brock finished second to him. I remember that. They finished 1-2.
Yeah.
In any case,
Logan
Schuchart is my pick.
Yeah, I'm Schuchart.
Yeah. Cole Macito's running the Dietz 14 there this weekend.
A new car. Okay. Gets to wreck a different car. All right, 10-4.
Okay. That's
Jesus
aggressive.
Christ.
That's such aggressive. David Gravel is my pick.
He can at me, bro. I'll take the bad pass.
Not biased at all.
Gravel's your
David
pick
Gravel's sweeping the weekend.
Win the title?
Everything. All quick times, all heats.
He's gonna win everything.
I don't know. Brad Sweet's just been too consistent. I don't think he can make up the ground unless Brad has some troubles.
Right. I wouldn't see Brad. I'll take Brad Sweet winning the championship over Gravel winning the championship. I'm out. I'd slide my mom to pass Gravel in a race. That's what he said earlier this year. F that guy. Come on the pod and fight me.
I don't.
Don with the win. Brad with the win and a championship. It says
I don't see Brad Sweet losing this championship.
We don't either. Your shoe doesn't either, because that's what's in focus right now.
Yeah, Hunter Schoenberg in the Alex
ABR.
Bowman number 55 should be fun to watch.
Don't laugh at us, Steph. No laughing. Don't laugh at us.
Steph's our biggest fan. She can laugh whenever she wants.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I think we lost our late model fan. Remember that guy was in here earlier this year?
Yeah, because you said I fucking hate late models. You did that.
You think that's why? He came back
Probably.
after.
You literally said we hate late model fans after saying.
No, I didn't say fans.
And it was a joke. He was saying
Yeah.
Jay-Z was saying it very sarcastically, but
Jay-Z's only ever 65% joking.
What kind of math is that shit?
And he knows it.
60% of the time it works every time. What was that? Is that what that was?
Something like that.
I was just trying to keep it
It's
reasonable.
science.
I was keeping it reasonable.
It's science. No, I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't know. I don't even have Dirt Vision. It's on Dirt Vision, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not watching.
I'm gonna have somebody hack Dirt Vision stream. I guess I don't know.
I got you.
I am going.
We got the T2T Dirt Vision account.
So I'm going. All right. So I'm not watching any of it. I'm going to Hershey for Autos and Ales Friday, and then some weird festival on Saturday to see Ruts play music. I'm boycotting. Yep. I'm boycotting Dirt Vision.
Oh, Chris has a new best friend.
Aw, it's so cute.
I have like 17 of them, yeah.
Aw.
I have friends.
Wow, you have a friend.
They have garage beers now. How are you going to work? You're cheating on Perigo with Ruts?
I did it when Perigo was there. He helped.
What a sportsman slut.
Look at this RPM hat. Brett doesn't have hats, buddy. Look at that.
Oh
You're such a slut for the sportsman. You moved the Ruts because Perigo doesn't run a wing?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Wait a minute.
Spence is running the micro in Delaware Saturday if y'all bored want to come down.
No, Jersey's bad enough. I don't need to go to fucking Delaware.
Yeah, that was the only bad part. It wasn't even that bad, and that's one reason I appreciated them keeping the 4 o'clock start time, because I got home at still like midnight. It wasn't bad. Traffic wasn't bad at all. I got a little bit of traffic on the way there. I'm kind of glad I left a little early.
So
but
you did have to pay like a $10 toll at the bridge, right?
you got to pay to get out of Jersey.
Get out, not to get in.
Fuck that.
I didn't have my Easy Pass on me, so good thing I had cash.
Yeah.
No.
$5 to get out of Jersey, man. $5.
That's why the fans didn't see me there.
You have to pay to get
because of the $5.
State, so awful.
You don't trap me anywhere, buddy.
Never mind. I'm not going there. Critter Olave over here.
This thing's off the rails. Where are we going?
Are we done?
Yeah, Ant's right. They have to do it, but you guys get to go racing. So, I mean, we get to watch it too. Don't get me wrong, but
can't wait to see Anna and Babs make it
before we did track around, and I was a diehard sprint car fan, and they were racing sprint cars every week, and there was only one. I still wouldn't go every week. That's awful. I got stopped in dead stop traffic twice, and there was no construction and no accidents on a Saturday at noon. There's more humans than road. Why is that a thing?
It's the East Coast, buddy.
Philly, baby. I think that's another reason why I liked Bridgeport so much, is like it's literally like 3 miles outside of Philly, basically, and
you're degenerate trash.
That's my people, baby. That's my people. That was another reason I think why Saturday didn't feel so bad, because I went to the Eagles game last Sunday and I didn't get home till almost 4 a.m. So this felt a lot better to get home at midnight.
All I have to say is, in 2 weeks, when Aunt Bay loads his car, he better say hi to me, or I swear to God, I'm hitting you with that shitty Rocket cheesesteak. Because that's what I was getting when I saw Aunt Bay last.
Oh, the Rocket Pizza and Subs cheesesteak?
Not even, it's like world famous. Oh, Port Royals is better.
I've never had one. I want to try that.
Don't. How
about you know what I always get at Baps is the mac and cheese stand. I always get that shit.
Mac Stack.
Mac Stack, yeah. I get that every single time I go.
Yeah, they had that in Lincoln all year, and if I got outside the track, I was always inside. But every time if I got through the tunnel and up, I would always get Mac Stack. Same thing, so good.
I made one good decision. I was buying a Coke right with Jeremy in the food stand, and then I bought that cheesesteak, and it just was so not satisfying. I'm sorry, Rocket Subs and Pizza.
Steph goes, so Chris, does your shoe or pants have anything to add tonight? I feel like I've seen them more than you. This is very true.
Hey, that's fine. No, they do not. I like my campfire rocking chair over here.
All right,
and I'm also hoping this thing doesn't flood between now and morning. Like
Jesus Christ.
Let's wrap this up. Drink it or dump it.
Oh shit.
Let's do it.
Oh, we're doing that.
I'll let you guys steal mine. So you go first. You guys are first. I always steal yours. So
do we have to pay extra for feet? Yeah, I was gonna say you should start an OnlyFans, Chris.
Ooh, no, I don't like feet. I'm out.
Ain't nobody want that. Drink it or dump it.
Yeah.
I wasn't at a racetrack this week, so I guess dump it to that.
Anything you want. It could be anything. In the world. You pick anything you want.
Anything.
You'll make it weird. I don't know. Drink it. It looks like the weather for BAPS in 2 weeks so far, way too far forecast.
There's so much other shit that you could drink it to, and you're going to go to a 2-week weather forecast?
Yes,
I am. There, bro. You don't have to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't need to stand for it. It's okay.
Well, I'm going to dump it for your attitude. How about that?
All right, Jimmy, you're up. He's got nothing.
All right, I have a couple drinkits. Drinkits to all of our pre-race show guests on great showings. Kyle Reinhart, Briggs Danner, Joseph Watson. Also to Kyle Spence. Great run by him. It was fun watching him. And also to obviously Alex and the whole Bridgeport crew and Doug Rose. I'm going to dump it. Anthony Macri. That was something. Watching him wreck for 3.5 corners.
That's my drink it though.
Dump it because he wrecked.
All right, so go ahead. Sorry. No, I thought you had more. Drink it. I'll do the same. Actually, you took mine and it's worth it. So Doug Rose and Alex Robinson and the Bridgeport team, that was pretty cool to be able to do that. Not just for Bridgeport and hopefully we know a little bit about what we're talking about when we interview these guys and bring something relevant and to the conversation. So that was cool to be able to do that. So hopefully that's a launching pad, a springboard for next year for some other tracks. We can try to do some of that stuff. I think it'd be fun. I think fans like that. My dump it is Joey Amatia.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's where mine is. I don't know him that well personally. Obviously, taking photos, I know the cars he drives. He blew up the 410 practice night, got a ride Saturday, and absolutely destroyed it on Saturday in the heat race. So he won in the win with the car, but yeah, dump it to him. That was a tough day or two.
Ampe, I forgot about this. We didn't talk about this. Danny's wing getting hit by this fire suppression bottle.
I did see that.
That was. I didn't see it. I didn't know about it until I think Sunday. I didn't see it. But Danny's wing was pretty.
All right. So Danny's tweet is when I saw it. Someone's bottle went through his wing out over the greens out.
Yeah.
Place.
Yeah, that's a problem, not just for him and the safety of the drivers, but fans. If that went in the wrong direction, right? Like
it's something that's supposed to make racing safer has become a much bigger hazard because these fire suppression bottles have been falling out. Think about Carson Macedo's wreck in the beginning of the year. It didn't work because it flew out because it was so violent. When that was the one time it should have been used, it was really needed.
Oh, and probably a rock went through your sideboard because after doing the track walk after,
there was
looked like a pebble. I mean, there were rocks in that surface like I've never seen.
Like a Pebblestone road.
Yeah. It was like a cobblestone road smoothed out over top. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was a rock. But yeah, that's definitely a dangerous situation. And then I think Danny, he was upset about the fire suppression bottle in general, and then followed it up with the whole idea of the suppression bottle and it being a money grab for the Outlaws. So
for the Outlaws, yep.
He kind of doubled down on the anger of it, and in typical Danny fashion. Again,
I don't think he's wrong.
I don't know. I don't own a team. I don't own a car. I don't know if I have thoughts on it. If it actually made it safer, I'm all in, but it hasn't proven to be that yet. So
I think the idea is right, because when it first came out, I'm like, oh, this is actually probably a good idea. It's something that you would think that would already be in these cars, but the execution was piss poor. These things don't work. They fly out of the car. They're more of a hazard. They got to figure it out. Don't make these guys buy something, maybe it's only a couple $100 in the grand scheme of thing, to make it safer isn't a big deal. But if it's not going to work and it's going to be more of a safety hazard, figure it the fuck out. That's unacceptable.
Yeah. Oh, it's topsoil. That makes sense. It must be a New Jersey thing, moron. Jesus Christ.
I heard New Egypt was bringing in $300,000 worth of topsoil from Maine or something to resurface. Listen, Craig, you fucking
one of
awesome.
our Australian buddies, Jimmy, still hasn't gotten a haircut. It's okay.
Yeah, I need a haircut.
I thought he would have gotten it to come into the Bridgeport all cleaned up and shiny, but I mean, I did. I got a haircut just for it to look good on that webcam camera. It didn't matter. It was whatever.
I'll get a cut at some point.
Bunch of comments. Next live stream, we'll have Miss Kim shave Jimmy's head live.
You could do that. I'm fine with that. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing anyway. Kim's just going to shave my head at some point when I get
more
annoyed with it.
entertaining than us tonight, probably. So there's that. We're out of here.
Yeah. Amp A did say track surface was great all weekend. And I thought that as well. It was pretty good.
Yeah. No complaints. The rocks were probably went through your wing, but they did not deter from the race at all. And I'll tell you what, I was outside the track a lot taking photos, and I got destroyed a couple times. Like, it hurt. Like, not only the velocity of what the hell was flying at me, but there was definitely rocks in it for sure. It was sketchy.
That's it. Well, next week we will we'll recap the World Finals. We will preview the BAPS Final Showdown, which I'm pretty pumped for. I think we all are. And then we'll see what else comes up. Who knows what else is going to come up this week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody listening either live or listening to us the next day. We talked to some people when we were at Bridgeport saying that they listen to us on the road and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. That and makes us feel like what we're doing actually kind of means something a little bit. To maybe like
it was cool. The one guy drives truck, and I said, well, if you don't want to change the channel for a while, we ramble on for like 2 hours at a time. So you found the right group of jackasses for sure. So we can turn this into 2 hours somehow every time. We're getting there tonight. So thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye, Chris.